What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show. Like, click, click. It wasn't clicking. Click, click. It happened. Finally. All right. What is up, everybody? As I said, it's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best, see, I did it again. Best Podcast News Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers. It's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, reach out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live Sunday, April 12th, just before, I think, Passover has started. And also next week is Easter, Good Friday. I don't think we'll be broadcasting next weekend, but Lala and Aisha can tell us when they come on if we want to do that next weekend. And I think with everything else going on, why don't I just bring up the stars of the show? Really? I'm the fodder guy. And I can't see Aisha for some reason. There I see Aisha. Now I see her. So I'm not the only one who had technical hiccups. All right. I'm not singled out. What's going on, ladies?
It's been a week. It always is a week under this administration.
It's been a year and a week.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's say hello right off the bat. Hello, Jen Myers. Hope things are fine with you in Cleveland. And there we okay, what is going on here? It's not sticking. There we go. And then enlightened beings. Hello, family. Looking forward to today's show. So are we. We're looking forward to it also. What's been going on over the last week, other than the stuff we're going to be chatting about?
Well, I got to go see Lenny Kravitz.
Yeah.
We want to talk about our concert. I danced like I was 18 years old. The music, the oh my God, y'all, the layout of the whole concert, the stage, it was just fantastic. And he looked so healthy and so happy. And he just played and played. His musicians were top notch. It's been so long since I've been to a concert. And this was one you do not want to miss, because I know he's traveling back and forth from the States to Europe. He's been doing it since last year. But he is coming back to the States in Vegas and all Pennsylvania and all those things. Y'all go.
Wow. You know who I didn't get to see because I was just too tired from driving Tuesday? Mary J. Blige on her My Life 30th tour. But guess who did go? Yes. My daughter went.
Yeah, she played Toronto just recently. I didn't know till last minute.
My daughter went.
Okay.
My daughter and her friend went, and it was funny because I told my sister at the very end. My sister was like, "There's still tickets." She said, "We can get them pretty cheap." She said, "I don't care about who the opening acts are. I just want to see Mary." She said, "You want to go?" I said, "Yeah." And then we looked at each other. We're both like, we're too tired." And then my sister was like, "You know, we'll get up there and the Mary will do the Mary dance and we'll be mad that that's how she danced the whole night. And that's how she performed." And it turns out that my daughter was like, she had choreography. She actually didn't do the dance that she's known for, the drunk Mary dance. But she didn't sing Real Love. And I said, see, that's the reason why me and my sister would have went and we would have been pissed. But I thought about it. My daughter was like, she's probably sick of it.
That's what I was going to say. After doing it so many times, I'm sure I was actually really surprised that Lenny did Fly Away, because that was one of his earlier hits and he did do it.
Wow. I remember seeing Mary J. Blige a long, long time ago, and I said, "Mary, love you, but you can't sing." You
don't think she can sing?
In her early days, did not. This is just my lens, especially the early part of her career. What got her over to many people is the pain that she had inflicted during her life and bringing it out via music. Vocally,
I started. It's funny that you mentioned that and about the vocally and the pains, because I've been struggling trying to figure out what to do with my Substack. So I decided to write about about music, but in the context of real life. And I actually have this piece that I've been working on that I'm gonna put on my Substack about because Mary J. Blige's album and Alanis Morissette's albums both had 30-year anniversaries.
Yes.
And so
Yeah.
here's two sides of the same coin of female angst, Gen X female angst and pain on two albums in the same era, the same year, but they operate differently because you have how Black women express pain and frustration, and then white women the same things. So it's funny that you mentioned that, and you're right. She does express pain and empathy, and Mary can be pitchy.
Okay.
Pitchy.
Yeah, I and so Jen Myers goes, love Lenny. I've never seen Lenny Kravitz in concert. I'd love to see Lenny, especially now with the recommendation. So she says, love Lenny.
Good.
Me too.
Okay. And then Enlightened Being says, I love Lenny K.
Me too.
I love Lenny K. And then Enlightened Beings goes, Mary is not my fave, but after learning about her struggle, I ended up digging her. She was open and honest, and that is appreciated.
I mean, I've always loved MJB, but I'll tell you something, and I hate to say it this way, but I really prefer my Drunken High Mary musically. And I think it has to do with that pain and that struggle coming through. I love the fact that in her life, she's happy now and she's past all that and she's over, she's been rehabbed and all of that. I love that for her. And I love that she's living her life carelessly and that she looks good. I love that for her. However, I do miss those songs, those gut wrenching,
Yeah,
It's the emotion for me. I am a person who really digs people who can bring about a story in their song. I've always been that way. Even as a child, I used to believe that all songs were true. So if you can deliver that for me, then you've got me as a fan. Just tell me a story and sing it and make me believe it, baby. And you got a fan.
all
Yeah.
right. Enlightened Being says, when Mary did one with Method Man, that was fabulous.
Yes, that is a hip hop classic there.
There you go. There you go. It was fabulous. Now, Mary, and interesting because about an hour and a half drive a few weeks ago, I thought about going, I love my jazz music. And one of the great bass players of all time, because he's played on so many different things, a gentleman named Marcus Miller, who played on
Yes.
a lot of stuff with
Yes.
his discography is just, and I was debating whether to go see him, and I didn't go. And I said, why don't you? And he come to Toronto, man. You haven't been to Toronto for years. I don't know if I'm going an hour and 15 minutes. I went, but Marcus Miller, very key to the success of Luther Vandross, very key to a lot of players. David Sanborn, actually, back in the 80s, and I'm beginning to watch a lot on YouTube, there was a great show called Night Music. It was on for about 2 or 3 seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say it was one of the greatest music programs I've ever seen. Because they would bring all different types of artists and playing with the band, and David Sanborn, Marcus Miller, Hiram Bullock, Omar Hakim. I was watching a session the other day. Sonny Rollins was playing there. Was playing on a show.
Oh, no, I haven't heard Was Not Was in such a long time.
Oh, it was so. And there was one performance on vocals was Patty Austin.
Patty Austin.
So saxophone was David Sanborn. Then you had Marcus Miller on bass, Hiram Bullock on guitar, and George Duke on keyboards.
Oh, not George Duke. Oh my God, not George Duke.
All star. And I'm going, and I just felt like, and there was another set. They had the same band, and not George Duke, but they had Joe Sample playing keyboards from the Crusaders, late of the Crusaders. Such an incredible music show.
I've seen Joe Sample live, and you know what else? I saw Nancy Wilson.
Oh,
It was a beautiful concert outside in the summertime. And I also saw Grover Washington Jr.
Oh,
my cousin was like, we went to the casino to see him. She's like, I want to get so close that the spit from his saxophone comes out and hits me in the face. We were like
oh
front row.
man.
So yeah, Yeah.
Grover Washington, born in Buffalo. Born in Buffalo. Grover
Amazing.
Washington. But yeah, but that, Nancy Wilson. There's a gentleman who's I haven't talked to him for a while, named D. Chansonberry, who
Yo,
was
D is great. He wrote for us. He wrote one of the reviews for our
you
album.
know D. Chansonberry?
Yeah.
Come
Yeah,
on
he
now.
did something for Will.
Come on. Okay, I'm going to mention today, but when they released Dark Girls,
Yes.
the first one was done by him and what's the guy's name? Bill Duke.
Mm-hmm.
They were in Toronto, premiering at the Toronto National Film Festival, and I hung out with them for 2 days. And D. Chansonberry, he's another guy. He wrote songs for Prince that got picked up by Shaka Khan.
You know what? He is really having a good time on. I highly suggest that you follow him on Facebook if you're not.
Big time. Oh my God.
He goes live every day. He talks about everything, and especially during the fires, he reported it every day during the fires. But he puts out playlists every day.
You know Chan.
In theory, yes. I think he worked with Will. I think he did something with Will, not me personally.
If anyone wants to know my definition of a true African American Renaissance man, D. Chansonberry is it. He is. Wow, I remember having him on the show many years ago, and I said, Chan, what do you want to say to Black Americans? And he said, I want Black Americans to stop surviving and start thriving. I remember, I just he was such a.
He means that with all his heart.
He does. There's a man. Oh man, he's got to get him back on. Got to get. He was, but you know D. Chansonberry.
He did something with Will. So
come on. Well, make sure you tell Will I know that guy. D. Chansonberry. All right. I think we've retroed enough. I don't know if we want to stay in the retro and move to the present.
We've geeked out quite a bit off the real musicians.
Yeah. Well, don't start
music.
Yeah.
How often do you get to talk about that?
Yeah, like don't start me talking about Anita Baker and Rachelle Farrell. Then we're not going to get anything done today. All right. Okay. Let's go to break. And I know we're talking about the past. Unfortunately, we're going to have to deal with some of the present.
Jesus. Oh.
All right. With that intro, we'll be back in 30 seconds.
It's Black Canada Talking. I want to give congratulations to our sister, Michelle Obama, for not showing up.
Tariffs don't like it. There's a no-win situation for anybody.
You think about all of these processes that have actually been embedded in our education and psychology. It's no wonder it's very hard for schools to actually admit Black students into their program.
You catch it 5 p.m. Sunday afternoons Eastern Time, 2 p.m. Pacific. That's called Black Canada Talking. All right.
Wait. Don't move on so fast. Okay. I want you to understand just how important you do such great work in our Black community. And I want to stop and at least acknowledge that, because you just blow right through it every week. But what people don't understand is you've been doing this for a very long time. You are very dedicated to what you do, and we appreciate you very much.
I received that. Like, if you would have told me that 10 years ago, I would have said, no, I'll just we'll buy it. But I'll receive it. Inhale and exhale. Thank you so much. But it's bigger than me, and it's for all of us. That's why I do what I do. Mm-hmm. And it's an honor and pleasure and a blessing to showcase both of you.
Though, honestly, we're at a time now where there aren't a lot of platforms for people who look like us to talk about what's going on now in our country freely without someone controlling or telling how that news should be spilled.
Yeah.
Well, one of the things that makes this a unique conversation, because it's an international conversation. And it's very rare. We're doing it on a continuous basis. We are from 2 continents and 3 countries.
Yeah.
That how rare is that? How think about that. On a regular basis, you're getting lenses from different areas of the world. Lala, it's an and Aisha, it is an absolute joy and pleasure, and I couldn't do it without you, and I wouldn't do it without you. And that
I
also
know.
goes out. I don't know if she watched. That also goes to Miss Jill, even though she ain't here. That goes to her too. All
Well,
right.
Dr. Vibe, we're coming up on what, 8 years, is it?
What?
Wow.
No.
Wow.
No.
Yes.
What we have to do in the near future is play excerpts of the first time you were on.
Yeah.
And also Lala, the first time Lala was on, first time, it was Aisha first, then it was Aisha and Jill, and then Aisha, Jill, Lala, and now I still have it out there in the corner there in the
And
book.
mine was audio first, just
Yes,
audio.
I'm looking.
Was it just audio, Aisha?
Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
and me and Jill, it was first just me and Dr. Vibe, just audio for a while, and then for almost a year, and then Jill joined us, and then that was audio for a while, and then we but we started doing video right before the pandemic, or yeah.
I have to so I'm going to do some research about that over the holiday season. When we come back and play that. But I just have in my mind sitting over there in the bullpen is a lady named Jill Jones, and we're just waiting for her when the bottom of the ninth comes in. She's going to come in and pitch us into the next one. So Ms. Jill, I don't know if you are watching this live or on replay. I miss you. All right. It's all right. So some more comments here. Lala says music, as they would say to music. The soundtrack of life. Regina is in the house. Couldn't do it without you also. And Jen Myers, she says she remembers that. What do you remember, Jen Myers? Because you've been around.
Jen used to listen. Yeah, Jen would listen when we were just audio because because I was on Jen's Prince group on Facebook, and she would listen and post the show there for people to listen.
Oh my goodness. Really?
Yeah. Jen's been around pretty much the whole time, actually. Yeah.
Here she goes. All audio in 2017. Wow.
Jen is such a huge supporter, and even she's beyond huge.
And she goes, yes. Wow.
Yes. She's also a very good friend too. Jen, Jen has she's got very interesting stories. She's got very interesting stories to tell. She's very one of the most humble people that I know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
Yeah, I'm sort of like that movie Frozen right now, but I'll find myself and move forward. JJ Mars is in the house from Colorado. What is going?
What's going on in Colorado?
Okay, and Jen Myers says Aisha is my girl. Okay. Wow. I don't know. Should we forget the rest of the show?
No, we have to have good feelings because the next part of the conversation is hard.
No, it's just going to slide from there. Okay, before we go further, let's talk about Girlfriends Chat with Aisha LaLa, Jill Jones at Patreon. There's the link there. I'm suggesting they move it, but we'll have that conversation offline. Primetime Saturday show store. Link is there. Join the Discord group. Please email me. Or there's a link that you can just click on and join. Make it easy for you. And I'll put all this on all the platforms where you're watching this on a replay. And also subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. Also like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. And by the way, people are watching this live on the replay. These two ladies are on fire on YouTube Shorts. So please check out the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube Shorts. It's fire right now. Advertise your business, product, or service. Please email me at dr.vibe at the dr.vibeshow.com. And finally, the one and only Dr. Tachi, Indie Suit Media, 25 independent content creators, 1 year in existence, 25,000 YouTube subscribers. And I was saying in the past, it was like 10% of all YouTube channels have like over 20,000, whatever. Only 4% of all YouTube channels have over 10,000 subscribers. So even more rare air for Dr. Tachi. We ready?
Yeah.
Ready, Freddie.
Okay, let's do. I want to see if any
Deep breath.
comments. Hold on. More comments here. JJ Mars. Nothing really happening here. And then Enlightened Being says, you guys have one of the best. Oh, wow. One of the best shows around. Thank you. Thank the ladies. I just steer the ship. They drive the ship. All right. Okay.
Deep
It's
breath,
about-
everybody.
About that time.
Woosah.
Exactly.
Okay.
Saying.
Here we go. Go at it, ladies. U.S.-China's trade war escalates. Bang.
It's what we deserve, okay? It is what we freaking deserve, because you can't say that, oh, we're going to tax them and not we're going to put these tariffs on all your goods and properties and stuff and not expect it to come back and not expect there to be some blowback. Because guess what? China holds all the cards. Do you want to know what other country holds all the cards in this country when it comes to goods and products that we buy? It is China. Why are you getting into a trade war with China? That means that all these little gadgets and doodads and things that we all love, we're not gonna have those. That means it's everything that you buy out of Target and Walmart, if you're still shopping in those places, because over here we're not. But if you do shop in those places, the majority of those products are coming from China. If you're MAGA and you buy a MAGA hat, it's being made in China.
Somebody did a cartoon where it was like $9.99 for the Make America Great hat again. And then, crossed it out. $77 for the Make America Great.
That's when you're going to start seeing them fools complain when they can't buy their MAGA. That's
Let
when
me
they're
tell
going to
you
complain.
something. Let me tell you what's very, very interesting about this. We're getting what we deserve. China has not only quadrupled down. They are now telling the truth about what is happening in the world when it comes to luxury products and it comes to other products that you are paying 20 times more than what it costs for them to produce. They are putting out videos now because in China, they have changed the rules of them being quiet about what they do. So therefore, now these companies who are making these luxury purses, these Hermes, these Coach purses, whatever, have come out and said, why aren't y'all just buying direct? Because we make them anyway. And they're showing them that, and they're explaining to people that we make these for $10. However, they come in, they take it from us as a blank slate. They take it to another country or your home country, put on their final touches and their final little hardware only that says made in Italy, made in blah, blah, blah. And now it's considered luxury when it actually came from China. Why not buy from us direct? So see, China now has removed all the games because they are telling you exactly what is happening. Those $250,000 glasses that you buy from Ray-Ban only cost $5 to make. They just changed the code on those. And not only that, China plays the long game. They think in centuries, not in years. So they've been around.
Okay, let me just interrupt real quick. If you are watching this live on the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube channel, please enter like 2 sentences of, answering this question. What do you think about the U.S.-China trade war? You see it, we got a board of responses there. I'll take that down and bring it back later. Also, some comments. Dachi Capri says, hey, TT. I don't know who that is.
That's Deja, and that's my
Deja.
name. Hey, sugar.
Okay. All
Love
right,
you.
Deja. Sorry, that was my head, not my heart. Regina says, my heart goes out to the small business owners who are suffering with this China tariff insanity. I also know an artist who gets her prints done there for the past 20 years, and it's a disaster. Regina says, now because her business will be destroyed. Enlightened Being says, China has the upper hands.
Yep.
JJ Mars says China will own this century. Back to you,
Yeah,
ladies. And in a few moments, we're going to show a very interesting video clip from a gentleman named David Frum, which I don't want you to miss. Go ahead,
two
Aisha.
things to piggyback on what Lala said. Those videos, not only are they doing those videos, videos they're showing over here are fat, lazy Americans. These are AI generated videos. Fat,
Yes.
lazy Americans sewing shoes, saying, "Oh, so much work for y'all to be doing when the factories come back. Do you really want to do this kind of work?" And showing people making the purses and sewing the Nike on the on the shirts. But and they're showing what the people make, and like, you really want to be doing this work? So they're doing that thing first. But here is the other thing, and this is why Trump is blinking and why he will continue to blink, because this is something else that is going down. You've got to go back and you've got to forget looking at China and how their business, the value of their currency. Look at their patents.
Woo!
Look at their patent
Shape
office. Because here is the thing. If they want to, by their law, China can cancel all patents that all American companies have to have their products manufactured in China, which means all those things that are kind of off-label products, anybody can go in and say, hey, GE does, those are those light bulbs that GE does, and there's the patent expired, there's no patent on it anymore. I'd like to make those and sell them at a lower price, because they're not selling the brand name, sell them at a lower price, so they can do that. But remember, whose daughter has 500 patents in China? Donald Trump. So
Oh my God, I love
that
this.
right there is, this thing is going to get interesting with China, because you're going to see him making all kinds of concessions, because when that money starts hitting close to home, because remember, Ivanka has more money than he does.
Ivanka took it and ran.
Ivanka took the money and ran. She got the
but she don't have the bankruptcies. She don't have the bankruptcies.
And remember, her husband got the $3 billion from the Saudis. So they have much more money than he does. And when she starts saying, and remember, she's also his favorite. He don't care about those other boys, especially not the one that he had driving the caddy. These are the ones that are going to make a difference for him. When Ivanka says, Daddy, you got to stop this, because it's messing with my money. If it messes with my money, it messes with how you're going to be taken care of. Because remember, I have more money than you. And that's that.
All right, let's get back to some comments here. Lala says, hey, love it. TT is telling truths in these internet streets. Regina says, notice that all the AI shorts are all fat white men like 47. Oh, no. Enlightened Being says, and they pretty much have. China is boss and people have been stupid. And Little Princess 47 can be canceled immediately. Regina also says, what happens if China, Japan, and Canada dump their bonds? See, this is part of the story that a lot of news outlets are not talking about.
MSNBC did talk about it because
shot down this week.
Right. And it's not just the regular bonds, it's the savings bonds. Those are the ones that they're really worried about. They're not worried about the other bonds that are invested in stocks. They're worried about the daggone savings bonds. And you're right, Regina. What the other side of that too is not only what if they dump their bonds, but what if they dump their bonds and China then calls in its loans?
Okay.
American people forget a lot of our debt. We just taxed. This is like you going to the bank that holds the mortgage on your house and saying, I'm gonna pay this mortgage, but I am charging you a fee to accept my payment.
And what y'all don't know is they own so much land that you don't know about. They own so much land in California. They just buy the houses and they let them sit there. Okay, let me tell you a little inside story that y'all don't know about. The Chinese come over and buy all these luxury houses in certain areas. They don't live there. They just pay somebody to come to cut the grass. They let the neighbors park in their yard. The houses are empty. When they are ready to call due, All that land is theirs.
Yep.
This was planned a long time ago. Once again, we always talk about chess versus checkers.
Yep.
China has been playing chess for a very long time. America has been asleep at the wheel.
And I'm going to go further with what Lala said, because I'm going to tell you the reason why they're doing it. Because this is why Americans need to get out of American knowledge and just focusing on here. Because what they've been doing over in South Africa and in other parts of Africa is taking over people's land. Not the houses and stuff that's built on the land. They're buying the ground under all of it.
Yeah.
So like people
mineral rights.
are losing. People find that they're like, oh, well, they think that they own the land that their house is on because they own the house, right? No, they're finding out, and these are royal families in these African countries finding out that the land underneath the house, way down deep in the dirt, is owned by Chinese countries. Which means not only are they owning the land, what's in the land? It is the resource. It's the resources. It's how
the mineral. It's the gold. It's everything that powers your phones.
Yep. How we get access to water. It's the diamonds in that on that continent. Okay. That's Elon. Why do you think Elon Musk has this issue with China, right? Because guess what? His family competes with the Chinese in South Africa for the mining of the blood diamonds there. Don't forget that thing. So this whole thing with China can get really, really bad. And American people are like, yeah, we'll weather this. We'll weather this. No, we won't, because guess what? He did when Chinese media and propaganda media is like running a massive campaign ad saying that Ronald Reagan was right and Americans are stupid. They call this man stupid in their ads that their people are seeing it, because guess what? China can't do what it's going to do if the people hate it, even though they basically have a dictator. But if the people hate it, the people will protest. Well, guess why the people won't hate this? Because it is a target. It's targeting them only. They got the most tariffs of all the countries that he tariffed, first of all. And then second of all the people there are getting these ads saying that these lazy Americans don't want your jobs, but they also don't want to pay you. And they're whining about having to pay you.
Okay,
So
I'm just going to jump in with the comments, and I'm just going to keep, because it's Regina and JJ Mars and Enlightened Beings, keep it coming, because this is what I love about this software. It just actually shows their comments as they're drifting. So Enlightened Being says, Regina, they are lining up now to do so. They have joined hands. They hate each other, but now determine America is the enemy. Yeah. JJ Mars says, US T-bills and the US dollar used to be the number one safe place to go for foreigners, but not anymore, because people don't want to invest in America, right? Because they don't know what, it's so uncertain. And now the distrust, and can it ever be built back? Regina says, notice that the Koch brothers are behind a lawsuit against 47 for Chinese tariffs. Regina also says, in Vietnam and Cambodia, you can't buy land if you're a foreigner. You can only buy the second floor and up. Interesting. JJ Mars says, many African rulers have been very poor and one-sided deals with Chinese. So I can speak to being of Jamaican heritage. Same thing here in Jamaica. Enlightened Being says, China is about to own America. They're holding back for now, but if 47 continues, they will call all due.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And then Regina says, did you guys see the Russian state TV video on 47? They were tearing apart, laughing at how he was destroying the U.S.
Yes. Can we pause on that for a minute? Can we please pause on that for a minute?
Yes.
Because this is very much true. They see America as a joke. They actually see Trump for who he is. They know that he's a puppet. They know that he is the 10-ring king. And they are actually laughing at him. And they have called him every name in the book. They have actually said he really thinks that he's trying to rule anything, and he has no power at all. They are speaking out loud the things that people in America don't want to talk about, especially the kook aides who continue to drink this kook aid. They have no idea how much danger we're in. This man has put our country in massive danger.
So,
And, you know, the thing is, people don't realize that all these things, such as the Chinese balloons that were here, we need to take it back there. They were over here taking intel, and they know more about our country than we know about ourselves.
yeah. And you know, the other part of it too, with Russia, Russia's not only laughing about how he's destroying the US, particularly with these tariffs, the other part of it that makes it more comical to them is that they're like, and these are the people that he has in charge of all this stuff. Because every day something idiotic comes out about one of the people that he has in his cabinet. Linda McMahon, for example, they're trying to get rid of the Department of Education, and this woman over here is out here talking about how she can't read AI. Talking about, oh, there's certain children starting in kindergarten, and I think pre-K, I was reading the other day, are going to get A1. They're going to be teaching A1 in education. And these kids are going to start to learn A1. Can you imagine that? She meant AI, and not only that, because I read the article before I saw
Oh
that
my
video.
God, are you
Article.
serious?
I read the article Monday.
Oh,
before
it's
I
true.
even saw
She was
that.
saying
It's
A1
true.
instead
She
of
was saying
AI. It's
A1
true.
instead
Yeah.
of AI. But the funny thing is that it wasn't American children. The article was talking about children. Guess where they were? Guess where they were? China. Getting AI teaching, and she's over the Department of Education that they're supposed to close. The guy who is the Secretary of the Interior, that means that he's over all of the native lands. He's over all of our national parks and services and things. This guy, well, guess what else he is? He's a part-time cookie monster, because guess what? If the people aren't making the cookies and he doesn't get them warm, they have to go back and make them, and he wants them to make them from scratch. Little does he know, they're actually already come pre-frozen, and all they do is stick them on a tray and into an easy bake oven. This man is insane. And then the deputy director of the FBI is also a podcaster, like his director Kash Patel, and this guy or Baringo or whoever he is, he's the one, the Trump supporter that, remember, Mark Zuckerberg put on his board. Y'all don't
Yes,
like that?
yes,
But
yes.
he's a musclehead, and this fool, he talks about how strong and how tough he is, and he's built, and how he's always in the gym. Now he's requesting that he needs 20 bodyguard service of 20 people at all times, 24/7, and they're gonna pay that. And then this idiot Kristi Noem taking cosplay Photoshop.
Come on, let's stay back on. We'll get to we gotta stay back on the
No, but the point of all of this is that all of these people, all of these characters, all of this insanity is what other countries are seeing. It is what Russia is seeing, and it
banking
is
on.
making them.
This is a
Yes.
good lead. This is a good lead into the video we're going to see. But let's get to
Yes.
some comments. And you hadn't heard about the A1 and AI?
I had not, because I took a break this week.
Okay. Enlightened Being says the world is shifting. It's a nightmare. it's probably a nightmare. J.D. Marr says, I meant to say have made poor deals. No problem. Regina says, and Canadian tariffs on electricity hit New York State this week. 25% rate increase on American customers. Regina goes, AI sauce? Enlightened Beings goes, the stupidity never ends. Never. It gets worse every single day. And JJ Mars, yes, A1 is a steak sauce. I haven't
Now you
had
see
it
why
before,
that woman lost 3 times in Connecticut, right?
And Regina goes, JJ Mars, Linda didn't know the difference, LOL. This leads us, as Aisha was going real deep in her take, into a very interesting conversation this week between Don Lemon and David Frum. For those of you who do not know who David Frum is from The Atlantic. Born in Canada, but one of the executives, writers at The Atlantic, has served in previous administrations. One of the Bush administrations he served in. He knows what he's talking about.
He's an economist.
Yes, he knows what he's talking about. So we're going to play a bit of this conversation, and you got to hear this. This is really good. So here we go. We'll play a bit of it.
Liberation Day. He said, okay, that's it, but I don't want to talk about that. And then he said they had the Senate, pretty much the Senate stood together, but there were Republican lawmakers who were not for this, including from my home state of Louisiana, John Kennedy, who was out on the cable news on the circuit saying, I don't know if this is good, and Donald Trump will have to face whatever the repercussions are.
Look, when he said this, he said an interesting thing in that, I mean, nonsense liberation day. I mean, the liberation is that everyone has to pay more for everything. But what he said is we tore up all these trade deals. So the plan is you're going to go to Canada, you're going to go to Mexico, you're going to go to the Europeans and say, we want you to sign a new trade deal. And they'll say, what happened to the old trade deal? I said, well, I ripped that up. In fact, because I don't feel I'm bound by any deal at all. Whenever I don't like a deal, I just ignore it. Oh, so I should sign a new deal with you that binds me, but doesn't bind you. This deal contains a clause that you can cancel it at any time, and I can't. Why would anybody do business with you? There's going to be, I think there are going to be no new trade deals because his word is worthless, and he's made the United States' word worthless.
Yeah. And he's made a whole lot of people really nervous and anxious. And some people are concerned. I'm sure the folks on Wall Street and people on Main Street are concerned about their mental health and their financial health as well. David, stand by. We're going to get to an ad break in our sponsors, and we'll be right back with you. David Frum is going to join us in just a moment.
All right.
Yeah, that's about it. It's like the word of the country cannot be trusted if it's coming out of his mouth. I can't hear you, Dr. Oh, okay.
Go ahead. Sorry. Go ahead.
I just came.
No, I was going to say the word of the country cannot be trusted as long as it is coming out of that man's mouth. And I think it was Regina who said it earlier, or maybe Enlightened Beings, but the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We're going to see countries who consider us enemies now linking up with other countries who were their sworn enemies, and they will join forces to unite against us. Because here's the other side of it. What happens if all the other countries get together and decide that they are going to form a united front against these tariffs?
Well, there's the BRICS. BRICS. Some comments here. JJ Marr says, I would have given her credit if she had said Heinz 57. You're so wrong.
But this woman also doesn't know that she didn't get a college degree in education.
Okay.
So
that's right.
Regina says, I imagine how many big donors to GOP Congress is going to be up. I'm not going to say up the behind of their bot rep senators to take tariff power away from 47.
But you know, though, Regina, that's the point, though, that I think that pretty much needs to be discussed. Why is it that the members of the Senate, the Republican members of the Senate, are kind of like, yeah, this is an issue. We're starting to see an issue, but the House holds the strings of purse strings. He legally cannot put tariffs on anybody unilaterally without the consent of Congress. And as long as, meaning the House of Representatives, and as long as the House of Representatives doesn't do anything, they have relinquished their power. And what they've decided is that the Senate has passed a bill to stop these tariffs, and they have to, at the end of the day, they have a certain amount of days for the House to respond. Well, what the House has decided is that they're not going to let that day end. That day is going to last 2 years so that they never have to bring it to the floor to even vote on it, which in my opinion is that if you're going to have a day last for 2 years, then you should only be paid for that one day.
Thank you. Amen.
All right. I'm going to play a little bit more of this conversation between Don Lemon and David Frum, because it's very good. I thought it was really, really good. He just spitting facts. You know, he's spitting facts. And again, really respect what he has to say. So we're going to get to some more of it right now. Here we go.
Meantime, Mr. David Frum is back with us. David, thank you very much for your patience. We appreciate it. Let's put up what David's writing. It's from The Atlantic. David has been writing about these tariffs. David says Trump has a screw loose about tariffs. Trade barriers will make U.S. goods more expensive to produce, costlier to buy, and inferior to the foreign competition. David, did someone get to him? Let's talk openly now. We don't have to talk about the news of the day. Did someone get to Donald Trump and say, hey, man, look, you got to cut this out. You got to get Howard Lutnick out of your ear. You're destroying the world's economy, or you're putting a big dent in it. What do you think happened behind the scenes, and why have you been writing about this for so long?
Well, there's always people whispering dirty deals at Mar-a-Lago, and there's always insider trading. Donald Trump creates these meme coins, these cryptocurrencies, which allow people to pay him money directly. A lot of things that Donald Trump does are not illegal because in the history of the American presidency, no one got around to banning them, as it never occurred to anyone that the president would sell scam currency coins to enrich himself. So we don't have a law saying he can't do it. Maybe after the Trump presidency, we will, because we'll have to. But yes, there are always people whispering in his ear. There are always people looking for special advantages. I mean, I think this whole Greenland thing is driven because someone wants a mining contract at a discount price.
Really?
Greenland is a territory of Denmark. If you want to open a mine in Greenland, it's a rule of law state. It's not a place where that would be difficult. You make your bid if it makes, there's an honest and effective local government that answers to Denmark, which is part of the European Union. You want to dig in Greenland, you can. But what if you don't want to pay a royalty? What if you want to be able to bribe somebody? What if you want a looser thing than in Greenland has? That, I think that's a lot of the appeal of it is there are just people around him always looking for some kind of corrupt form of advantage. And a lot of the Trump presidency can only be understood that way. You talked about these articles. I've been writing for The Atlantic again and again and again. The thing that people need to understand is America first means America alone. Mm-hmm. A key part of America's strength has been it's got the richest countries in the world as its best partners and best friends. And they're there when America needs them, and they trade in freedom. And Donald Trump is repudiating all of that to make the United States like as he said, the only friend he wants is El Salvador, where he can send people to be tortured.
David, let's look at a little bit more about your piece. Andy, can we scroll up on that? Do we have that in there? So David writes, President Trump's trade war crashed stock markets. It is pushing the United States and the world towards recession. Why is he doing this? His Commerce Secretary explained on television this past Sunday, the army of millions and millions of human beings screwing little screws to make iPhones and that kind of thing is going to come to America. Now, we had this AI generated video the other day, which was, sort of tongue in cheek about what it would look like. And if you can put that up, Andy, if you can grab it, what it would look like if that were to actually happen and how many people it would take in order for that to happen. And also what it would cost America in order to do that. There are certain things that we don't make here because we have a different lifestyle, let's be honest, than the folks in China. They do better at making cell phones. They do better at factories. They do better at a lot of these things. And Americans, quite frankly, don't want to do these jobs. And it would cost, some say, to get a cell phone, maybe 10 times more expensive if you actually had a cell phone made here in America.
Well, in this article, the pun of the title, took the line from Lutnick where he said, we don't want to be driving those little screws. So I spent some time, let me investigate the little screws. So if you have an iPhone, at the base of the iPhone, you'll see that the thing is clamped in place with two little screws at the bottom of the phone that are very distinctive as they have 5 heads instead of the usual 6 or being the usual plane. Where do those come from, those screws? Well, they are entirely made in China. So if you're going to bring the iPhone into the United States, where do you get the little screws from? Well, you have 2 basic choices. Either you import them from China, in which case there's a tariff on the little screws and the phone becomes more expensive, or you create a little screw make, in addition to your iPhone industry you have to create in the United States, you create an industry to make little screws. But here's the thing about those little screws. You know how you make, I didn't know this 72 hours ago, but now I do. Screws are a very high-tech product, and they're made by very advanced machines. And the machines are made right here in the USA. Not the screws, but the machines that make the screws. So China buys the machines from the United States to make the screws in China. The machines are made of steel, which has been tariffed. So in chasing this little screw industry that the United States doesn't have, you're putting tariffs on steel that will kill the industry the United States does have, which is that makes these advanced, high technology screw making machines that are vast and extrude the wire and slice it and put the little head on and coat it and put the 5 points in it. That machinery, that's made in America, but the screw is not. Because we all live in this world of commerce and integration, and it's a wonderful thing. It's something, it's bigger than any human being can imagine. It's integrated. It binds us all together in peace and commerce. And Trump hates it and wants to kill it. And he will not only make us poorer, but he will also put the United States in conflict with everybody, and not just China, but people whom Americans like to think of as their friends.
But why is this one of his core beliefs? And we played it yesterday, David, of him back in 1988 on the Oprah Winfrey Show, basically saying the same thing that he's saying now, although he sounded more articulate back then. But why is this such a core belief, this whole tariff thing?
That's such an important question. So to believe in trade, what you have to believe in is, you know what? The human relationship has the potential to be a harmonious one. People in different places, different countries, people who've never met each other can work in a common goal and everybody be better off. That's what free traders believe. Donald Trump believes every relationship is domination. There's a boss and an underling. There's a dominator and a dominated. In his life, Donald Trump is a predator. He's a sexual predator. He's a business predator. In politics, he's a predator. He can't imagine that there's ever a deal where both people win. In his world, you do a deal, one person's the winner and one person's the loser. If the other person at the table looks happy, that means you got screwed. The only way you know you didn't get screwed is if they look miserable. And that's why he was a failure in business, because every successful businessman knows my partner today is my partner tomorrow. My customer of today, I want my customer back. I don't rip people off because then they won't return to my shop. Well, Donald Trump's whole life has been ripping people. You buy from Donald Trump and you get ripped off, whether it's vodka, whether it's his university, whether it's his multi-level marketing schemes, you get ripped off. And that's what he thinks everyone in business does. He has no idea what it means to be an honest business person who says, I'm going to give you a great product. You're going to like it. It's going to come at a fair price, and you're going to come back tomorrow for more. And you're going to pay me in a fair way, and I'm going to appreciate that your payment and your credit will be good, and I'll want you to come back, and we will iterate this over thousands of exchanges, over millions of people, over hundreds of miles. He doesn't accept any of that. He thinks everything in life is about exploiting people or being exploited.
Where are the adults in the room? I guess Scott Bessent finally.
All right, I'll stop it there. He went in on him. He went in. Okay.
What?
What?
He told no lie. He told no lies.
No. And then he explained exactly why he said what he said.
Right. Yeah. I wanted to play the part where his thought of why 47 is the way he is. I thought was a very interesting explanation in regards to that. Comments. Enlightened Being says, but I think 47 is going to the Supreme Court, is going to allow 47 to do what he pleases. And they basically have given him to do what he wants, because didn't they say a few months ago what he does he can't get indicted for? Mm-hmm. Next up, Enlightened Being says, the Supreme Court will bow to the tin ring kin. Regina says, SCOTUS hasn't been bowing lately. Yeah, they've been pushing back the odd thing. 47. JJ Marr says 47's main power is coming from Elon's financial backing for the most part, even though it didn't work that well in Wisconsin. Enlightened Being says, I worry about that, Regina. They are all a bit loony right now. Hard to tell which direction they will go. Regina goes, MAGA is sending pizzas to the judges with the name of the murdered son of Judge Esther Salas in New Jersey on it. They are trying to stop the scope of judicial injunctions in the court and harassing the judges.
And see, right there, that is the disgusting part, right? They are sending names of the murdered son of a judge. Who in the hell you think you are that you can, not only that, but what kind of moral compass do you have? What if you are so big and bad about it and you're about that life, then show up to that person's doorstep yourself instead of ordering a pizza with the name of a murdered judge's son on it as a threat. I'm so sick of these lazy cowards. They are keyboard cowards. They are lazy. This is, how did we get here where it's like, oh, I don't like how this judge ruled, so I'm going to send a death threat. That is insanity. It's insanity. How are we here?
More
and
comments.
by the way, that judge has been on several TV shows about talking about her son too, because she's worried about what's happening. Because it's not just the judges they're doing. There's he's got law firms so scared he has
Yeah.
racked up almost $1 billion
Yeah.
in pro bono work for himself from law firms.
Enlightening Being says you've got to be kidding, Regina. My God. Regina says Judge Salas is holding a judicial protest. I think it's this Tuesday to push back on protecting the rule of law for everybody. She also says, P.S. David Frum is a conservative commentator.
Yep. He
Right?
works for one of the Bushes. Yep.
Yep. Enlightened Being says 47 is a con man and has been from day one. Also, Regina says 47 is starting to look like Jack Nicholson as the devil in the Witches of Eastwick. And Enlightened Being says we are in such a cruel world. So many cowards behind keyboards. Lala, you've been quiet.
Because it's sad to me. Sometimes I get into my head about how we look and how we feel as America. This, even though it was an illusion when I came up, I was very proud to be an American. 1776, I was happy to participate with that. I love my sparklers. I love my 4th of July. And as you get older and you start to really see the truths of the matter, this is very frightening. We have been a nation of people who have stayed in the closet about their racism. They allowed certain things to come, and they just kept quiet, and they talked about it in their households. But this one man, has given them the courage to stand out with no longer having hoods, no longer putting restraints on their mouths, not giving a anyone else only but themselves, and to live in fear of you can't have it because we can't have it. When you are living in oppression like that, that makes it hard for us to even breathe any time of day. You're constantly looking behind your back. One of the things that I will continue to say, because y'all know I'm always back and forth overseas, right? When I'm overseas, they don't understand what the because they have seen this. They have lived through this. World War II was different for them over here than it was for us in America. When they see what has happened, they are seeing history repeating themselves. They are shaking their heads at us, and they really are literally warning us, don't do this, you don't want this. Don't do this, you don't want this. Oh my God. Trump, oh my God. Everybody is just they're so sick to their hearts about this. And the fact that most Americans are not scares the
Yeah. And you know what's worse about all the fact that nobody's scared about this? Let's be very clear. People are afraid of the personal impact. There are people who are afraid of the personal impact, but nobody's afraid about what this is going to do permanently to the country. And that to me is a very scary thing, because for some reason, people still think that people haven't gotten it in their heads yet. And I don't know what it's going to take, but they still think that, oh, we survived 4 years of this. We'll survive another 4. You don't understand. Guess what? 4 years ago, that was a different man doing a different presidency. This is someone now who has been indicted 4 times, who almost went to jail and just got in by the skin of his teeth. He got in such that he had to have a billionaire buy him an election. Okay, literally. And so we're in this thing where this man, he wants to destroy a country that he feels betrayed him. And he doesn't care who gets destroyed in the process. He is going revenge after everybody. For example, he's doing revenge by executive order. Miles Taylor, who was the guy who wrote the anonymous article, and Chris Krebs, 2 people that worked in his administration, he signed executive orders to investigate them. Who the hell is that? He's the other thing too. And granted, I get that there are presidential powers, but Congress, we also have 3 co-equal branches of government, and Congress and the Supreme Court need to rein this man in, because granted, there's no limit on how many executive orders a president can do, but at this point what he's doing is abusive. Things that should not be executive orders or concerns of the country, those things shouldn't be executive orders. Why is he's investigating someone who worked in his administration that he didn't investigate when they left the administration and he was still president, only because they wrote a book, and he writes that in the executive order? At what point do we let that stand?
Listen, here, you don't need to hear anything else about government spending and calling yourself slashing government spending when he is planning a 79th birthday that is going to cost 92 million, something like that, because he wants a military salute birthday. Who else did that, Aisha?
I believe his name was Vladimir Putin.
And
And
who else?
so did
Him.
Xi Jinping. He
Hitler.
wants that dictator, because remember in his first term, he said, not Xi Jinping, Kim Jong Un. Remember that he said, "I love how they have the military style parades for the president of their country. How come we don't ever have anything like that for me?" He's doing this. It's like, granted, the country, that $90 million, you could spend that next year celebrating the country's 250th, but we are spending $90 million of it. How are you going to sit here and say to people that we are in so much debt, that all these previous presidents left me with all this debt, yet you're going to spend $90 million on a birthday party of taxpayers' money? We don't have that money to spend. And the other thing too is that you've got this guy. It's even worse. Not only are you spending $90 million to do it, where's the money coming from? One, but two, half the government employees lost their jobs, and you're going to spend $90 million on a birthday party.
All right. I want to jump in with more comments here. Enlightened beings say
That
most
was
of
an
them
insult.
most of them in real life are scared of their own shadows, and their physical appearances are the exact thing they are calling out for: evil. Enlightened beings also says, but the media is compromised. America is not getting real views that the world is saying and seeing. Lala has told us that many a time. Regina says, I get in face-to-face confrontations with local MAGA male rednecks. Be careful. In my
Yeah.
neighborhood, they are scaredy cats and brainwashed with fear over the most ridiculous crap. Yeah, but when you're not watching, please be careful. JJ Mars says Regina Frills might be the prelude to the false prophet. Enlightened Being says it is a play right from the Hitler game plan.
Yeah. This is where we are right now, okay? And it might be hard for people to hear it. It might be hard for people to understand it. But we are in a time right now where this country doesn't look like anything that we recognize, and it's not going to for a while. I think the misnomer for people is that, well, when he's done in 4 years, things will go back to normal.
No.
He's disrupting normal. And remember, when
Okay.
when your normal gets
This
disrupted
is interesting.
and you have a new thing, you form a new habit.
All right. We have a number of ways. We can go to our next story. I wanted to show another short video, but before you get there, interesting. I was watching Angela Rye and Tiffany Cross yesterday.
Mhm.
And Tiffany Cross is at the point saying she wants a whole country to go to the ground. And Angela Rye saying, well, no. Don't you want us to say some of the stuff and try to rebuild? She says, no, I think it should just burn right down and we start all over again. She says she's lost hope. And she's basically saying, you know what? I think this has to be totally redone. Don't take anything that's left and just start right from square one.
But the problem of it is that I agree with that in theory. The problem is the practice of it. The practice is that it would be different if everyone was going to be a clean slate, but everyone that would be in charge of reestablishing the government is going to come with the mindset of the government that we already had and try to re-implement the structures and institutions that benefited them.
All right.
and we'd be back in the same situation eventually.
Do you want to flip to another story, ladies? Because
Why
Well,
not? Because it's
I mean,
all
I do want to talk about the how they're trying to steal elections. 'Cause
yeah,
that's
okay.
important.
One other thing too, we really didn't
But we
cover
can-
it. We got to maybe talk about it next week. Insider trading, another
Yes.
conversation. We got to bring that. Well, we got to bring because
We gotta
there's
talk
some
about that.
really like one of the things that will stick out to me this week. Well, 47 was there with his $1 billion friends, and he turns to one and says, "Was it Charles Schwab? Hey, Charles, you did really well yesterday. You made $900 million." I'm going, how does an American voter feel when your president, hey, buddy, you made $900 million because of something I told you probably ahead of time? We'll let to our next
I'll tell
story.
you how they feel. You know how we know how they feel? Because for 10 years nonstop, the media has spent endless and countless times interviewing his voters because we need to try to understand these maggot heads. And let me tell you something. Alice Wagner has to have the most useless job in journalism right now because Rachel Maddow is there for 5 days a week on MSNBC. So they have her doing some podcast called Trumpland, where she's going around talking to Trump voters. For what? They won. You need to try to understand the people that are suffering. But here they are like, yeah, it's going to be hard for us as farmers. But, I voted for him 3 times. So I'm just going to, hold out that he knows what he's doing. And yeah, it might hurt and it's going to be hard. But, I support him.
All right.
Like
I don't need
said,
to understand
never
that.
change their minds. They will. Those are not the people that we need to get to.
Right.
Those people are lost. They will never change. They won't.
All
We
right.
don't need to know about anything that's going on with those people.
All right, let's move on to our next conversation piece, the stealing of American elections. And I think I'm going to put up a story here because I think a lot of people, and this is going under the radar with all the tariffs.
Of course.
But something people, and both of you ladies, can we go in on the SAVE Act?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
how it's impacting women's rights.
Well, the SAVE Act is going to impact not just women, but it's going to impact a lot of Black people because you forget a lot of older Black people, particularly in the South, who, like in hospitals and things. I know, like, for example, my mom, we live in Connecticut, we're lucky, but my mom, for example, her birth certificate, her name is spelled differently than how she spells it, her first name. And so people are going to get into those kinds of things with where your name, they want your name on your birth certificate to be the name that's on your ID in order for you to be able to register. It's insane. It's insane. And that's the problem for women. Women change their names.
LaLa, anything to say? Like your facial expressions are at an all-time visual these days, these moments.
I can't help. I can't help but to go back and remind you all, because Aisha and I were so very upset when we got the reactions that we did, when we went back and told you long before anyone else was talking about Project 2025. We were one of the first people who came out and took the time to really study it and look at it and dig into it. This is nothing but exactly what they told you they were going to do. They want women in the kitchen, barefoot and pregnant. They do not want you in the corporate jobs. They do not want you to have any powers. They want to strip anything away from people who are transgender, LGBTQ plus. They want only white males in any part of power. They don't want Black. They don't want minorities. They don't want Hispanics. They want it all. And so therefore they are coming for it all when they already told us. So I don't want to hear any damn outrage right now, because if you voted for that man, you voted right along with Project 2025. And we are the ones who are burning because of you. See, we told you. But what you don't understand is you are dragging us through the mud. We are the first ones that will go down in flames before the ones who don't see it will. And so find out is not pleasant for me because we're all burning.
We're all finding out. And
Yeah.
so the problem with this too, and the stealing of elections, I think it has to be, it's not just what they're doing on the federal level. That will be contested. And here's the reason why that will be contested. Because the federal level, they really can only affect presidential elections. If you read the language, they're really talking about presidential elections. Why is that? Why? Because states control elections. So they will be challenged in the Supreme Court with this bill because states control elections. So states get to determine for their elections, because remember, the elections are there to represent the people of the state. The people that we send to the federal government represent the people in the state. So the state gets to determine what these laws are. Now, Wisconsin, even though they had that win with the judge, one of the things that was on their ballot was also last week or week before last was also the thing about the voter ID. And
Yeah.
what happened was a lot of people voted for it because the language led people to believe that it was the opposite. So they voted for something that they didn't exactly realize. But on top of that, they're sliding in these next elections this year, elections that happen in 2025 and in 2026, mayoral, gubernatorial, state legislatures. They are sliding in these voter registration bills across the country. Texas just passed one recently where they now require people to have their birth certificate or passport to register to vote. Guess what you can do here? Guess what you can do in this country? You know, you can register to vote at the post office, right? When you do a change of address, you should be able to register to vote. I don't understand why they're requiring people to register to have a birth certificate. I can understand having ID when you show up, but guess what? Even that shouldn't be allowed. Here's the thing. There used to be this saying back in the day, one man, one vote, right?
Yeah.
If you go to your polling place, if we have all the technology that we have, we've got facial recognition technology, okay? We've got fingerprint recognition technology. We've all got it on our phones. People have facial recognition on their phones. They've got facial recognition on the streets. You mean you can't have facial recognition at a polling booth so that you know when someone comes in that the person isn't showing up twice? There are ways of protecting our vote. But guess what? Here's the thing, and here's why the thing with Chris Krebs is so important. Why is Chris Krebs being targeted? Because Chris Krebs said in 2020, we had the safest election ever. Period. And Donald Trump is mad about that. They are trying to steal elections. The other part of what you need to know about why they're trying to steal elections in terms of how people register and how people can vote in voter ID and all that, because they also introduced a bill that would allow this man to have a third term.
And they're pushing for that. But
And they are
as
pushing
you
for it.
recall, once we told you before, he tells you exactly what he's going to do. And he said, we're going to fix it so you don't have to vote again. His ultimate goal is to stay in there until he dies.
Yep. And his way of doing it is that he does it as a joke so that you can take it and laugh at it and not take him seriously, so that when he does it, he thinks it'll hurt less. Because here's the thing, he can say, you can go to him and say, well, you said you weren't going to do it. Now, I said I was joking. I didn't say I wasn't going to do it. The joke is that I did it.
It's very interesting. Now, former Prime Minister Trudeau, a number of months ago, told the Canadian public, yeah, this guy's serious about this country, Canada, becoming the 51st state. He said he was dead. And he said in a private meeting, and it got leaked out. Yeah, he's serious. Good point there. You know, Aisha, that what you think he's joking about, he ain't joking.
Nope. He is very serious.
Very, very serious. And the stealing
Every time.
the stealing of these elections, oh boy. This is not
Well,
going.
and he's very serious about buying Greenland. Y'all don't understand when you look at the top of the world, all right? There is a strategic reason why he's calling out these certain countries, you, Dr. Vibe, in Canada, and Greenland. He's very serious about that because Putin wants these areas. He's very serious about not helping Ukraine because Ukraine is the hold bar to the other places in those world that Russia wants to run over and take over. If Ukraine falls, there is a lot of European countries that will also be a threat. So Greenland is a part of this. So is Alaska, because Alaska ties directly into a little part of Russia. So if he can get that tie-in, he thinks he's in with Putin. Y'all need to understand your geography.
Yep.
This is why they depend on you not getting educated.
Yep. And the other side of that too is that remember that he's a conqueror, right? And if you've ever looked at the land mass of like Russia, it's really big. It's bigger than the United States.
It's huge.
It's bigger than the United States.
Huge.
And he strives to have that kind of power like Putin. He views this as those two being the Tweedledee and Tweedledum of the world, running things, right? And in order to compete, he feels like he has to have, what does he need to amass in order to feel like he's on par? Territory. That's why the Greenland thing is not going to stop. The Canada thing is not going to stop. They don't want Mexico. There's a reason they don't want Mexico, because they don't want all the brown people.
But what they're doing is
very
they're
clear.
underestimating the power of these countries getting together and bypassing America.
Yep.
That's where they have actually dropped the ball.
And they've already started. And they've already started with the EU deciding we're not buying our weapons for our military anymore from the US. Understand, and no one's holding Pete Hegseth. If he was smart in doing his job, he would go to Donald Trump and be like, what are you doing? You just lost a lot of my budget. My budget comes from these defense contracts with these other countries. What are you talking about?
Absolutely. No, it's going to be very interesting. Well, David Frum made a comment that he thinks that one of the reasons why 47 wants Canada, because he feels that since Canada's majority white, it'll be a Republican state.
Yes.
But then that tells you how dumb he is. He does not realize.
Yeah, it's not. It's a liberal country more, and what he has done has brought this country together more against the United States than ever before, which is another conversation piece. And Lala has said, we told you a long time ago this was going to happen.
We did.
Yes, it did. Enlightened Being says we won't burn equally. We, people of color, will always be the ignite of the flames of death first.
Yeah, and look, but here's one thing I need for you to notice about what she's saying, right? Notice what you have seen. There are protests all last weekend. There's been protests every day this week. They have protests not about a mile and a half, 2 miles from where I live, at the airport, because one of the airlines that flies into the airport, Avelo, decided they're now going to be doing flights, deporting people. They got a contract with the government, and so people are protesting, trying to get the city and the governor to get them out of our airport and get out of their contract with them. And the one thing that you didn't see this time that you saw in 2020 with the protests, there are no police.
Well, not only that, though, on top of it, you don't see many black people at these protests.
That was my point.
And it seems that the people are protesting. Why aren't you protesting? And we're saying,
well, that's the point. The question is always, why aren't you coming? There's this, no, we're sitting our black ass down because guess what? The moment you should not want us there, actually, because the moment we show up, the moment things turn violent, not on our part, they start with that. They send out the tanks, they send out the military, they send out the National Guard, they send out the police in riot gear.
Yep. And we're sitting this one out because you're right, Aisha. A lot of black people saying no, because once we come out, The police come out.
Mhm.
And enlightened beings goes, all this is about taking rights to vote away.
Yep.
If they can't win fairly, they will cheat, lie, and steal.
And guess what? Some of them are even willing to kill.
Yes.
Yep. Well, hey, look at Black Lives
That's
Matter
what we're
protests,
not
right?
just Black Lives Matter protests, but look at the pizzas that they're sending with the name of the right. Okay.
Yep. And
They're
Regina
willing.
said, yes, you did. You got it. We did. All right. Let's move on to another conversation topic. We have the White House admits that 47 is seeking legal path to deport American citizens. Wow.
Because they made a mistake.
Yes, and the Supreme
So
Court called.
rather than fix the mistake, well, let's just find a way to make our mistake legal.
Exactly. But here's what is also coming out about that, guys. This is a part of the umbrella of this story. There have been people who have used the Google Maps to zoom in on this El Salvadorian prison. There are bodies there. People are being killed there, and no one is talking about it. A lot of these people that I'm actually afraid, and part of the reason I think that they are trying to say they can't bring this person back is because I don't think that person's there anymore.
Yeah.
I believe that they are executing people at will, and it is our government who is telling them who to execute swiftly and quickly. So what the plan is under this is it doesn't matter if you are an American or not, if you are an undesirable person to them, you are now the one with the
So,
target on your back.
Lala, let me. What is the definition in your terms, in your thought process of undesirable?
You are not white, Anglo-Saxon, Christian nationalist. You are anything outside of that. You are the undesirable. You are a stain to them. They want ultimate power. So if you don't look or live the lifestyle that they do, I mean, come on, let's look at Hitler, y'all. He only wanted blonde hair, blue-eyed people. He was not blonde hair and blue-eyed. All right. So if you don't fit their agenda, even if they don't look like it right now, that is what they want to extinguish. So they want, and anybody that has to do with LGBTQ, you're gone. You're a stain to them. You're an abomination to them. You have no rights. This is why they're stripping you of all these rights. They rather kill you. Yes, I said it because I don't believe in this unalived word. They want to get rid of you so that they can have the ultimate nation. It's the same playbook as Hitler.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
And I'm with Lala. I think we need to get rid of some of these words. When did we get so sensitive to the point that we can't say things that we used to say in the media, like the word kill? They're saying unalive, like disappear. We're saying that they're disappearing people. No, they're kidnapping people. These people went to a school. They went to a school, plain clothes, showed up at the school saying that they were doing welfare checks on children without the parents' permission. Right? They said that they had the permission of the federal government. And that principal and those teachers were like, you don't get in our school. You don't have the right to do it. They're like, yes, we do. We have the rights of the federal government. They said, get a warrant, but you need to leave. And they did, because the thing of it is, and this is what bothers me about the law firms and the seeking this legal path to deport. They're trying to set it up so that they can get this legal path to deport American citizens, so that citizens don't have lawyers who want to represent them in these cases because they're so afraid because of what he's doing to all the other law firms. So they're trying to get rid of due process. They're trying to strip people's, not just strip people's rights from them, but strip people's means of protesting, having those rights taken away from them by trying to annihilate the legal profession.
And it's the same reason that the media then was propaganda, and the media is being played for propaganda again today. They saw that worked. The world is seeing that, oh, this is exactly what's happening. We've seen it. But America itself, even just by location geographically, right? Just in the world of things, we may have participated in World War II, but Europe had seen that direct hand. We are kind of far away from the rest of the world, okay? Even though we do have connections. When you only see things on film, it's easier to forget than when you are actually living in it and living in the cities that have been bombed and you have to completely rebuild. The closest that we got to that was Pearl Harbor, and let's face it, that's the only reason we got involved in the war in the first place. We did not see the firsthand destruction. We did not see the concentration camps. It was all on the movie screen for us. It was only certain soldiers and certain people who were over here who saw that. But once they die out, let's face it, look at the time frame compared to World War II. We do not have very many World War soldiers still here or anyone who served in that time, right? So now they can take what you don't really know and only saw on film and make it a movie. It's make believe now.
All
Mhm.
right. Regina says, okay, I got in a huge fight with these old white hippies about the absence of black folks being absent of protests. It was the height of coolest privilege. JJ Marr says, Elon has quietly set up a plan to import South Africans to America.
Well, it's not so quiet
Not
because
quiet.
remember, Trump is out here talking about we're about to give refugee status to white South Africans because they have been discriminated against in their country. Mind you, they are the ones who went to a country where they were the minority and took over, disenfranchised people. Those people, the black South Africans, they reinstated, you know, if Americans were scared about anything, and going back to anything, this is the thing that they should be scared about the most. If you have been worried about us going back to the 1950s, this should scare you the most. And the reason I say that is because when was apartheid abandoned in South Africa? Was it 1994? It was
Yeah, it was
1990. It
very
was about that around that time. So it is recent for those white South Africans. Okay? So we're talking about people that they're trying to get coming over here, people who actually are going to face persecution over there for things that are considered crimes against humanity. Okay. So he wants to bring them over here so they can help him implement that kind of craziness and insanity here.
Okay.
And Africa has gotten very, very smart. They were never dumb in the first place, but they are now seeing their power against other countries who are coming over to steal their resources. They are now closing their borders to those who have come over and raped and pillaged their countries. And just recently, the Madam President of I think it was Tanzania, said that, sorry, y'all can't come no more. Bye. And the ones who are here, pack your and go because
Yep.
you no longer belong here. And they are very serious about they know their rights. They've seen this. They do not want their history to repeat, and they're taking their power back.
Wow. All right. Lala said, we are witnessing the Hitler agenda firsthand.
Yep.
Know your history. Enlightened Bean says $5 million for a golden visa. America for sale.
Right. So or especially for those people in South Africa, notice that they're going to be the billionaire, millionaire class, which were the people who were running the country before Mandela. Mm-hmm.
Oh boy. All right. We are going to finish on an upswing today. Aisha, what are you doing tomorrow?
Tomorrow I will be one of the presenters at the Print Symposium that's been going on this weekend. Tomorrow's the last day, and I'm going to be presenting on the song by Sheila Ian Prince, A La Bazaar, the Minneapolis Sound Meets Rap in Crush Groove, which is also 40 years old today, as is 40 years old this week, this year, as is A La Bazaar. And so I'm going to be talking about how that song, being part of the Minneapolis Sound, which is a sound of fusion in of itself, meets hip hop and becomes one of these first kind of iterations where we start to see R&B placed alongside hip hop in a film, and what the future of music then from the late 80s to the early 90s ends up sounding like with the advent of hip hop, soul, and New Jack Swing.
Very nice. Very nice. And people that say, oh, well, what about Lala? What about Lala and Prince? Okay, so this is about Lala and Prince. Here we go.
Tracy was a bad boy from the north side. He liked to hoop and game. Yeah, light skin and small with a lot of style. The boy could really play. Now Tracy, he marched to another drum. And whenever you heard it, you knew it could be only one. A radiant child of the sun, nothing more to say. Well, I hear your voice calling, I hear the dove of the color of music. Oh, yeah. I for the artist in us. We thank you. We thank you. See, the train came to carry him down to Central Grave. Paid the fare with the guitar in his hand, and he was on his way. Ooh. Now Tracy, he could sing and dance. It's when the Hollywood brothers stepped in to spin a sweet romance. It's just sign your name. Giving you a chance and took him to LA. Ooh, I hear your voice calling. I hear the dove of the color of music. I'm the people, the artist in us. We thank you. We thank you.
Did he freeze?
I think so.
I think he did freeze. Oh my gosh. Oh, Lala, I love it. Oh my God.
Yeah, that was special to us. We have 2 tribute songs that we do to Prince, and the first one was the first year we lost him, called Doves, and this was our second after we had just processed the whole thing. And Jill was um, gracious enough to come and sing on this, and her tribute to him in this song is so heartfelt and so honest that if you ever get a chance, guys, to go look it up on YouTube on Will Key's page, please do, because you really do need to hear what Jill has said, and it's from the heart.
Aw.
And so you're gonna be doing your thing tomorrow, as everybody can tell. We're
Yes.
definitely
Well,
Prince lovers.
I'm so excited. I'm so exhausted because it's been just a wild 2 weeks, not just with the news and stuff, but also with just my traveling and things. So I'm excited to be doing it tomorrow, but I'm also going to be relieved when tomorrow is tomorrow evening and I can just chill and just relax and rest. But I guess Dr. Vibe is not going to rejoin us. I'm not
I don't
sure.
know.
I'm
I
not
don't
sure.
know.
This has never happened to us before. So I'm guessing because it was the last thing and we are at the end of the show. And that was the last topic. That was the end. I guess.
Yes.
Lala, you want to share your information?
Yes, guys, you can find everything that I do very simply. I keep it all under my website now. It's www.laurakey.net. I have a lot of freebies there. I also have a quiz there if you're thinking about moving abroad, as a lot of Americans are. My quiz will help you to decide on if this is something that you could do now, later, or make plans for. And that's free, and it'll start you really thinking about that journey. So just visit me very simply at www.laurakey.net.
All right. And then you can find me at AK Staggers on Instagram and akstaggers.bsky.social. And if you want to attend tomorrow's virtual symposium, they also have some things still going on this evening, I believe. It's all virtual. You can go to poplife40.substack.com, poplife40.substack.com/p/everybody's looking for the ladder. But if you just go to poplife40.substack.com, you'll see the thing to register. Click on that and you can register. And I will be presenting in the panel tomorrow that runs from 11:30 a.m. Eastern to 1 p.m. And I'm not sure if I'm first or second to last, but I think I might be first. So,
Well, it will definitely be worth it. I've been able to attend a couple of things where you have presented, and Aisha is always on top of things. You want to talk about somebody who knows some knowledge? That would be Aisha. Now, listen, I know Dr. Vibe is not here, but you want to make sure that you do follow the Dr. Vibe show, because he not only works with us, he literally has other shows that also keep you informed of what's going on. And he is also one of the very first, or the first recipient that has been awarded the Dove Award for men. He does a lot with men, Black men, and uplifting our communities. Make sure that you join our Discord, because we keep the conversation going, and it's been hot and heavy lately because everything is hitting us at one time. And then also you want to make sure that you subscribe to our Patreon for Girlfriends Chat, because we get in it on a different level, don't we, Aisha?
Yeah. And I think that we might end up moving to Substack just because. But also to follow us on Blue Sky. Follow us both on Blue Sky, because if we're not saying it in the Discord group, I always have something to say about something on Blue Sky. Always.
Safe place for us. So we will not have a show next week.
Nope.
Right? Or we will be out next week, but please make sure that you tune in anyway, because you might have missed the replay that we are going to play. And then we'll be following up with you the week after. We're not going to be here next week because Lala is actually going to go see the family in the Netherlands.
Oh, good for you.
So that's going to be fun.
Well,
And
the entire family did the keynote on Friday, yesterday.
did they?
Yeah, because this 40th anniversary isn't just the 40th anniversary of the Around the World in a Day album. That actually section was today. Yesterday was the 40th anniversary of the Family album. And so tomorrow I'm doing the 40th anniversary of Sheila E.'s Romance 1600 album. So yeah,
Such a great
they had
series.
all the members of the family on virtually. Yeah, so that was really cool. I didn't get to see it because I was at my grandparents turned 90, both of them.
Oh, what a blessing. What a blessing.
So I didn't get to see it, but I will go back and look at the video. So that is all I have to say. That's all Lala has to say. We're so sorry that we missed Dr. Vibe to say goodbye, but we are happy that you all were here to join us. So
Thank you. We love
until
you.
week after next, and you know how to reach us in the meantime.
Peace out.
To understand how afraid I am of any member of the rodent family that's down to squirrels and chipmunks. Okay, I cannot stand all members of the rodent family. Rabbits, bunnies, no. What else is going on that day? I mean, is there something we're supposed to be doing?
Why are you going there? Why are you going there? You know I'm going to ask you. It falls the same day as the inauguration of the new president.
The what? Excuse me? I'm sorry?
You mean so in other words, Monday.
So onesies. Now, folks, don't ever think you're going to see us all on a show with onesies on. Don't do that.
You might see me. You might see me.
You'll see me and Lala because we oftentimes wear ours.